Hey, how's it going, everyone? Journey was here today. Today, we're going to be going over my top 10 tips on hiking Half Dome. Tip number one is going to be probably the most important tip, and that is to get a permit for the hike. This one is pretty self-explanatory. If you do not have a permit, you cannot hike the cable on Half Dome. Without it, you just cannot do the hike. I'm not going to go into great detail about how the lottery system works. I'll just kind of skim over it just really quick. So your first option is you could do the preseason lottery. I'm not too sure how far, like months in advance, you could get it. Kind of just varies, so just keep an eye on recreational.gov. The second option is you could do the 3 day lottery. Now this is like right before you plan on hiking Half Dome. I think it takes place 3 days prior. But again, just go to recreational.gov and just get all the information. And yes, there's going to be a ranger checking for permits on the trail, so please do not try to climb the cables without a permit. You will get caught and you will get fined. So it's just better off just to get a permit. If you cannot score a permit, then I recommend just doing another hike in Yosemite Valley. Now there are a ton of hikes in the park. There's Upper Yosemite Falls. You could hike to Cathedral Lakes. You could do Clouds Rest. There's plenty of hikes, so please just get a permit. If you don't have one, then just please don't get fined. And if you do get a permit, please do not forget your permit. You could show the ranger the permit on the phone, or you could go ahead and print it out and then show the ranger the physical copy. I recommend doing both just in case your phone dies. Okay, tip number two is to start very, very early. This hike is very, very long, being from 16 to 18 miles. I recommend starting it very early because you can have the whole day to complete it just in case anything happens. You want to take a few breaks. Maybe you're the slowest one in your group. Who knows? I just recommend starting early. And also too, if you start early, you could also take advantage of the sun not being out most of the time while you're ascending. It's very crucial because yeah, it's Yosemite Valley gets kind of cool in the mornings and at nights. However, it does get super, super hot, especially once you are outside the tree line. It could get very hot. The sun's gonna beat down on you, so that's also another reason to start very early. And also too, when you do start very early, you have a greater chance of finding parking at Curry Village. Now, Curry Village does have their own established like traditional parking lot, and they also have the overflow parking lot. I remember I remember hiking Half Dome back in 2021. We started at like 7 a.m. and parking was still pretty full. We were really lucky to find a parking spot. So that's also another reason why to start early. You don't want to be driving around looking for parking where you're not supposed to be parking. Tip number three is to bring a lot of water and a lot of food. Again, the Half Dome Cables is a very long day hike, and it is absolutely necessary to bring enough water and food for your hike. Park rangers also recommend bringing at least 4 liters of water per person. If you have a water filter, you're able to get water from the Merced River. If you do have a water filter, I mean, you don't need it, but I mean, if you have it, then you could definitely use it for that as well. You're going to be burning a ton of calories on this hike, so again, it is very important to be replacing those burned calories. Tip number four is to bring gloves. Gloves are absolutely necessary for the cable portion of the hike. I remember when I did this back in August of last year, there was a gentleman I'm assuming he's from Europe. He was hiking the cables with no gloves, and you could tell he was like in pain. It was very uncomfortable for him. So just please bring gloves. You will absolutely need gloves for the cable portion of the hike. I just use like my Oakley gloves that I had from the military. They're not really made for like going down ropes or anything, but they still got the job done. Although when I was going down the cables, it did kind of burn a little bit, but still it was just better than not using gloves. I heard that most people actually do get the gloves from like hardware stores. I mean, as long as you just have gloves, it's just better than having no gloves. I don't think you have to go all out with buying like super expensive like repelling gloves. It just depends on how you want to do it, but I just recommend bringing gloves. And now, since we're on the topic of gloves, guys, please do not leave the gloves at the base of the cables once you're done with them. When I did this hike back in 2021, there was like a crap ton of gloves like at the base of the cables. And then I understand, it's a kind gesture to just like leave your gloves for whoever needs it if someone else didn't bring it. But guys, just, please practice leave no trace. It's better to just take the gloves with you. If you see hikers going up, you could more than welcome ask them if they have any gloves and if they need any gloves. But yeah, just please don't leave your gloves on the mountain. Tip number five is to wear proper shoes. Once you do the cable portion of the hike, you're going to be walking on granite and you're going to be going up on a very steep incline. So please, I recommend guys wearing some good shoes with some good grip. When I did this hike back in 2021, I had my Asics, and I had my Asics for a very long time. I love them. They were great for running, but they just didn't really cut it because they were just like they just lost their treading. And yeah, I kind of had like a difficult time just going up the granite. And then now, just mind you, the granite portion isn't just the cable portion itself; it's also the subdome portion. And then that's very important that you just wear some really great shoes. That way you just don't slip. When I did this hike back in 2023 of last year, I actually got brand new shoes for it. I was using Solomon Trail Runners, and it was much more better experience than my first go around with the Asics with almost no treading. Tip number 6 is to monitor the weather. Before you head to Yosemite Valley, I would definitely 100% check the weather on the weather app to see to just get an idea of what the weather is going to be like during your visit. If it is going to be cloudy or raining during your hike, I would just not do the hike in general. Even if it does drizzle and it doesn't rain completely, I wouldn't even go on the cables, quite honestly, because the granite, like I said, you're gonna be walking granite and it's gonna be very, very slick. I would also be very aware of clouds in the distance. Now, even if you do start this hike and it's like a very clear day, I would still keep an eye on like the clouds in the distance because things could change like in a heartbeat, guys. Um, Weather in Yosemite could get like not really, I wouldn't say unpredictable, but it could change up really fast. So again, I would rather be safe than sorry. Tip number 7 is to train prior to your visit to Yosemite. For this hike, I do recommend being in top physical condition because it is that much of a grueling hike. Now, I may be over exaggerating here, guys, but I mean, the fitter you are, the more comfortable you're going to be on this hike. Some people even do complain about the elevation once you like get to the base of the cables, and they say it's a little bit too much because the air is going to be a little bit much more thinner. So guys, it would just make your life a lot easier and make your hike much more enjoyable if you do come into the hike physically prepared. If you guys want me to, I can make like a separate video going over what I did in order to prepare for this hike. Everyone is different. I'm not a personal trainer, but it worked for me and then I had a pretty enjoyable hike. Tip number 8 is to take plenty of breaks. Again, this hike is 16 to 18 miles long. I absolutely do recommend taking a break here and there. Please do not injure yourself. If you need to take a breather, take a breather. If your slowest person in the group needs to take a break, then by all means take a break. Also, I totally encourage taking a break while you're going up the cables. The cable portion isn't even that long, but still, like your calves are going to be like burning so bad. I recommend taking a break on those like planks that they have on the granite and then just letting people come down if they are coming down. And this does lead me into tip number 9 is to be very, very patient on the cables. The cables portion of the hike goes up maybe like 400 feet vertically. It is very important to take your time and to communicate with hikers coming down or up the cables. If you're going up the cables and then see someone coming down, I do believe that the person going down has a right of way, so please just take a break, be patient, let them come down, let their group come down, and then just go from there. Tip number 10 is going to be about the wildlife. Now, I've been to Yosemite National Park twice in my lifetime, and I have not seen I have not seen black bears. Grizzly bears don't exist in California anymore. So then you may be asking me, well, what wildlife do I have to watch out for? Well, I'm glad you asked. You have to watch out for the chipmunks and the squirrels. The chipmunks up on Half Dome, and then on the like I guess like the subdome portion, they will absolutely try to get into your bag. They will gnaw at your bag. You really have to watch out for these chipmunks. I mean, they're not a danger to you, but they will gnaw at your bag if you leave it unattended. When I made it to the summit of Half Dome, I was walking around and I walked past like this backpack, and then there was a chipmunk actually trying to like, bite into the bag. So again, just please make sure you watch out for your backpack. I recommend taking your backpack with you up the cables instead of leaving it at the base of the cables. That way no chipmunks or squirrels get into it and take your lunch. Alright guys, that is all my tips and tricks for Half Dome. Please let me know what you think. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If I miss anything, please feel free to add them in the comments. That way other hikers could be ready for their Half Dome hike. Thank you.